Hello there, it's me, your host Ben No. Welcome to another edition of the EOB Podcast. Today we're going to be talking about, the box office over the weekend and, of course, the new movie that is coming out, which is Avengers Infinity War, which is the latest Marvel superhero movie. It's going to feature, all the superhero that matters. The Avengers obviously has, Iron Man, Thor, Captain America, and others, in addition to the latest superhero who, you might have heard of him, Black Panther, made a big splash at the box office these past couple of weeks. And it's still going. But before we get to that, how about we get, to the box office this weekend, that what happened over the weekend. And we have three new releases or wide releases. There are a couple other minor ones, but we'll be talking about the major ones. Three new releases. I Feel Pretty, which is the new Amy Schumer comedy, and Super Troopers 2 by Broken Lizard, the comedy troupe. Their Super Trooper was released, I believe, 17 years ago, and they crowdfunded a new one. And it did better than what everyone thought it could do. And then there is a Traffik. All right, how about we jump right in? Coming in number one is A Quiet Place. It took in 22 million in its third weekend. Before it surprised everybody with a 50 million opening, and I believe I had the movie opening pretty low because I said it was a horror movie, and it's not. I said it could probably open to 10 to 15 million, but it opened to 50, blew everyone's expectation away. The budget's only 17 million. It stars Emily Blunt and John Krasinski. I believe that's how you pronounce it, and it's directed by him as well. It continues to uphold well, right? It fell to second place when Rampage opened, but now it overtook a Rampage in its third weekend. And so it's a movie that surprises. The drop off from the previous weekend was only 33%. Domestic gross right now is 132 million. And worldwide it's at 207 million. So yeah, this movie is surprising everybody, like I say, because nobody expected this movie to do that well. But hey, it produced by Michael Bay, as a form of trivia right there, and it's doing very well, All right, let's move on. Since I'm doing video now, I need to hit the ground running, since or else the file size will get large. And number two is a Rampage, which fell from its first place finish from last weekend. It took in 21 million. It's the Dwayne Johnson action movie. It's based on, I guess the movie is based on a video game, and about a giant ape that destroys buildings. But this one they obviously fleshed out some more to make it into a movie, to fill up the running time. And it dropped 41%, right? 21 million. Domestic gross right now is 66 million or 67 million. The budget is 120, which is kind of high, but Dwayne Johnson, has his fans. I mean, people or Warner Brothers is hoping that this could be kind of similar to his previous hit, which is still in theaters, I believe. It's Jumanji. Welcome to the Jungle. So, while Rampage is not Jumanji, it's still doing okay. 41% drop off from his previous weekend. Obviously, the video game or not many people know the video game reference, right? But hey, it's a Dwayne Johnson movie with special effects, giant apes, giant creatures battling it out. For a family film, for Dwayne Johnson fans, this movie could hit the spot, and but then again, The Quiet Place, the hold is very strong, only 33% drop off, while 41% for Rampage. So that's why Rampage is number two, but still doing pretty decent. Okay, and for the let's see, for worldwide, foreign, overseas is doing really well. 216 million from overseas for a total of 283 million overseas. So like I said, special effects movie, Dwayne Johnson, good combination. It like I say, it's kind of like his Jumanji movie, that Jumanji movie, kind of like his Journey movies. In fact, Rampage is directed by Brad Payton, who did the Journey movie, that Journey movie, I think Journey 2 with Dwayne Johnson. They reteamed for Rampage, and it's doing pretty well, especially overseas. All right, let's move on to number 3. It's I Feel Pretty. It is the one of the new releases last weekend, the Amy Schumer comedy. She is this woman who's living in a world where everyone's more beautiful than her, and she hit her head, and then something changed in her, and she felt that she is the most beautiful person in the world. She gained confidence, etc., and things started to happen to her, and I guess comedy kind of ensues, or not. I said this movie could probably do open to 20 to 25 million, but it opened below that, 16.2 million. The budget is only 32. Let me see the reviews for this movie. The reviews for I Feel Pretty is not good, 33%, but it's the kind of movies that you get, right? Amy Schumer, there were fans of hers and there are detractors of hers, and I believe there are more detractors than fans. But it did a bit worse than her previous comedies, like Trainwreck had a 30 million opening. Her other ones, Snatched, had a 19 million opening. So it is kind of around there, except that it's on the lower end of her comedies. So it's doing okay. Budget's only 32, so it's gonna probably pull in, let's see, 3, 4. So it's gonna probably close out at maybe 45-50 million range or so. Let's see, and worldwide hasn't opened overseas yet, so that's what we're gonna get. All right, let's move on to number 4, a movie that I believe surprises everyone. Is Super Troopers 2, is the comedy, the sequel to Super Trooper, which took place, which was released 17 years ago, and I guess fans of the movie clamored the troop Broken Lizard to make a sequel, and I believe Searchlight said, is it Fox? It was released by Fox. Said, hey, if you do a crowdfunding, and if they fund your movie to about 2 million or so, they're gonna release it. And they got surprisingly they raised 4.6 million, and that was in 2015, and so here we are. So I pulled in 14.7 million over the weekend. What does this mean? It could mean anything, right? The movie is not well reviewed. 35% on Rotten Tomatoes, a little bit better than I Feel Pretty, but is the 14.7 million is like all the fans going out to watch it, or is this a movie that will have legs, right? Because people pour money in it. If you donate money, you can have speaking parts in the movie and other perks. So could be why the number is high. I expect the drop off the second weekend to be high, because the first movie didn't do that well. It opened to about 6 million, and I think pulled in 18 million domestically during its theatrical run. And this one, the sequel, is already nearing the entirety of the first movie's the domestic gross. But we'll see, right? The comedies, it's not mainstream. Broken Lizard, the comedy is not mainstream. So we'll see if this thing can, stay in theaters, hang in theaters. But I doubt it. I expect the sequel, to drop huge during the second weekend. All right, let's move on to number 5, Truth or Dare, the horror movie. By Blumhouse, Jason Blum, released by Universal. It pulled in 7.9 million over the weekend. The second weekend already. Drop off is about 58%, which expected for horror movies to drop huge, with the rare exception of maybe like A Quiet Place and others. So domestic gross right now is about 30.3 million. But hey, as expected with movies produced by Jason Blum, the budget is really low. This one is cost 3.5 million. So hey, they already made money with this movie. And let's see if it released overseas. Yeah, it did a couple locations, and it pulled in about 8 million overseas. It'll keep going for a total worldwide gross of 38 million. So it already made its money back because of the low budget horror movie. Jason Blum, I say never bet against him, because hey, it costs pennies, relatively speaking, to make for these horror movies. All right, moving along to number 6 is Ready Player One, the Steven Spielberg movie. Pulled in 7.5 million over the weekend. Drop off is about 35% from its previous weekend. Domestic gross is 126 million, and worldwide 521 million, 395 of that from overseas. So it's doing way better overseas than domestically. That is to be expected, because the market overseas is huge, especially in China, right? Let's see how much in China. Yeah, about 191 of that from China. So then I guess relatively speaking, didn't do that well domestically because it's Steven Spielberg movie, action movie. 126 million is kind of within what Spielberg his movies usually make domestically. So it's doing okay. It's doing okay, but it's huge overseas. All right, number 7 is Blockers, the comedy with John Cena, the WWE wrestler, right? About parents who found out that their daughters has a pact to lose their virginity during the prom, and they went out and tried to stop them. And this is them going into these world of teenagers, adults behaving badly kind of movies. Pulled in about 6.9 million over the weekend. Drop off is about 35%. Domestic gross is about 48 million. Let's see. Worldwide is at 67 million right now, and the budget's only 21 million. So yeah, it's a decent size hit for Blockers. And John Cena, him and his persona. He's trying to become the family guy, family person. Whatever, family films. Even though this is R-rated comedy. Blockers, like I say, doing decent. And number 8. Black Panther, a movie that I say is still hanging in theaters. New edition, not new edition, but him in his debut movie, Black Panther. He was in Civil War before. Pulled in 4.6 million in his 10th weekend, still hanging in there, right? Drop off is 19.7% from his previous weekend. 681 million right now is the 10 best top grossing movie of all time worldwide. And it might beat Star Wars: The Last Jedi, in worldwide gross all time. And domestically is the number 1 superhero movie of all time. So lots of records for Black Panther, and he's gonna be huge in our next superhero movie, which is Avengers: Infinity War. I think he's gonna play a big role in that as well. And I think Black Panther will carry over. Fans of his will carry over to see what he will do in Avengers. So we'll talk about that. And number 9, one of the new releases, Traffik. It's a movie that stars Omar Epps, Paula Payton. I guess like I said in the previous podcast, kind of like some people found themselves in the one of the southern states, cars broken down or something like that, and they encounter some bad people. This movie plays with race relationships, fear of the South, rednecks in particular. There's, I guess, drug dealers involved. So this movie, then let's see how did it do. Yeah, it pulled in about 3.9 million over the weekend. I said this movie could probably open to 5 to 10 million, because of the this movie's target toward the African American group audience, and they're very dependable. They usually turn out for these movies, except this one. I said that this movie could probably or at least want to try to grab some of that shine from Get Out, but I guess could be only one Get Out, and I guess Traffik just didn't grab the attention of the target demographic, and so it only pulled in, or opened to about 3.9 million. Yeah, so we'll see. Drop off, I expect it to be kind of lowish, because it opened low. And then number 10 is Isles of Dogs, pulling 3.9 million over the weekend. It's the Wes Anderson movie, stop motion animation, calling his friends to provide voice work, including Bryan Cranston, Jeff Goldblum, Scarlett Johansson, Bill Murray, Frances McDormand, Ed Norton, others, people who want to work with Wes Anderson. They came in. Calling a few favors, right? Wes Anderson to provide the voices. Domestic gross right now is about 24 million. Let's see. And worldwide right now is at 39 million, about 40 million. So it's doing okay. I don't know what the budget is, but if it's any higher, it's probably going to lose money. But if it's lower, then it's doing okay. But we'll see if it, it probably will have to make up its, deficit on home video, streaming, etc. All right, that's it for the top 10. Let's move on to the new releases. There's only one. There it is, Avengers Infinity War, which is the third Avengers movie. And of course, since Avengers is going to be the biggest movie in town of the new releases, the other studios kind of clear out the slate, for Avengers, because hey, everything's gonna be sucked up, by this movie, Avengers. So we're finally getting here, Avengers. They're getting to the cosmic, right, with the intergalactic. It's building up from, this movie has been building up from Guardians of the Galaxy. We're talking about the Infinity Gems, which controls various aspects of like space, time, and others. If you're in comic books, you know about it. If not, then you can watch the movie to find out, or you'll just stay confused and just go with the flow. Like I said, this is the new one. We done Civil War. Now we're up to the Infinity War, right? These are some of the major storylines in the comic books, and they're just hitting us fast and furious. Without the fillers of the comic books. And we're here, Infinity War. We're talking about team ups. We're talking about a villain in Thanos that is probably better than Ultron. The second Avengers movie was a disappointment because of the high of the from the high of the first movie, right? The first movie opened to 207 million, went on to gross 623 million domestic, 1.5 billion worldwide. The second movie opened lower, 191 million opening, went on to make less domestically, 459 million domestically, and 1.4 billion worldwide. Now we're here with Infinity War, right? This is the build-up. I guess the second movie suffered from a weak villain. It's Ultron. There was and the second movie, the second Avengers, there was an overabundance of movies that features world destruction, and Age of Ultron was another one, and I guess we reached a point where it is universal destruction, or Thanos trying to collect all these 5 gems to form this gauntlet, and I guess kill everyone in the universe to get in the good graces of his crush, I guess, which is death, or the personification of death. So that's his motivation for doing all this, his obsession with death. And the Avengers and everyone in the universe presumably try to stop him. So this one will have Guardians of the Galaxy, we'll have Avengers, Spider-Man's in this movie, etc. So the who's who, big battle. Black Panther, I mentioned, is going to be in this one. So what is the opening gonna be, right? Is it gonna be like the Avengers movie, like 207 million, Is it, or is it going to be the Avengers movie? This Avengers 2, Age of Ultron, 191 or lower? All right. So I think this movie is gonna be high, right? Even Black Panther opened to 202 million. So I believe the appetite for the superhero movies are not decreasing, it's only increasing, right? Get more fans involved in the storyline, because we have all these separate storylines in Guardians of the Galaxy, Black Panther, we have Spider-Man, from via Sony, right? All coming together, Thor, Iron Man, all these separate storyline, all these characters now all congregating in the Avengers Infinity War. So if you want to watch this movie, want to get a closure to what's happening in those other movies, here you go. Avenger is it. It's the main show, right? If you're talking about wrestling term, it's the main card or main draw, or boxing terms, right? The main draw, the main card is Infinity War. Where all the who's who in the superhero universe is here. Marvel, of course, DC excluding. So you have to go with the high, 200 million plus opening, right? Because this is it. You don't see anything that's bad about this movie, right? You don't hear anything bad about this movie. So let's go with this movie. Let's go with 207 million. Why not, right? Because there might be a limit to the box office, because there's physically not that many spaces, and not that many theaters, and there are other movies playing as well, right? So how about 200 to 207 million? All right, so I'll give that small range, 200 million plus. So between 200 million and 207 million, I think that's what Infinity War is going to open to. If it opened less than that, I'm going to be surprised, because like I say, this is building off of the previous movies, and it's building off Black Panther, which opened to 202 million, and becoming, and that one became the highest grossing superhero movie of all time domestically, with 681 million. So it has momentum going for Avengers, Infinity War. So I think that's what it's going to open to, and that's it for now. Tune in and to see how I did. Until then, bye bye.